Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather, one of the most iconic fragrances, and probably is one of the best, or if not the best, leather fragrance of all time. Let's look at this scent profile and figure out how it stands in today's day and age. Is it still worth buying for the price? Looking at the presentation first, so it's a typical monumental looking Tom Ford bottle. The cap is not very tight, it's a little bit loose, so be careful when you're handling this. And I wish that this golden sticker over here, it could have been a metal plate rather than a sticker. That would have added more panache to it. But either way, it's a very good looking bottle. I like it. It feels good, premium, luxurious. Now, looking at the notes of this particular perfume, in the top notes, there is saffron, there is thyme, there is a little bit of jasmine in the middle notes, night blooming jasmine, and then you have leather and suede leather. And if you go to Fragrantica, you'll find a raspberry listed there. But if you go to the official website, you're not going to find any mention of raspberry. And I'll come to that when I'm talking about the scent profile. I don't feel that this version of Tom Ford Tuscan Leather has got any raspberry in it. Now let's look at the scent profile. Let's spray it and see how the sprayer feels. Decent sprayer, gives out a good burst of perfume. Very nice. Right in the start, leather is definitely very prominent. Okay, leather is there throughout the profile. It's not listed in the top notes, but you can get it right at the start. Leather is definitely there, and there is some element of sweetness to it, and also a hint of greens to it. Now that sweetness is not the sweet scent of raspberries. I attribute that a little bit of sweetness to the saffron that I'm getting. So you definitely get a very strong saffron note right in the start. Also something green, which I attribute to the thyme. Now raspberry, I don't get raspberry in this version of Tom Ford. My batch is 810. I picked it up retail maybe around 3 to 4 years back, and I do not get any hint of raspberry in the start. People might confuse the sweetness or the saffron that they're getting with raspberry, but I don't think it's raspberry in the top. Now what happens is, in the middle there is also that slight hint of jasmine that you get. It's not overpowering, it's there in the background, slightly floral but not overbearing. So the jasmine reminds me of Tom Ford's ombre leather, but there in ombre leather the jasmine is much more pronounced, stronger, but here it's very toned down. And the hero note of this particular scent is definitely the leather. And there are two types of leather. One, there's a harsh leather in it, and there's also a soft Swedish kind of leather. Both of them are balanced, I feel, really well. The suede adds that creamy, smooth texture to the harsh leather there. So the leather doesn't get, I would say, pungent, or it's not ill-smelling to the nose. Rather, it's a very pleasant, smooth, creamy leather that you get from this. Before we go to the performance, I just want to briefly mention about the older batches of Tom Ford. When I started my journey as a frag head around 10 years or maybe 12 years back, I did manage to get a sample of Tom Ford. It must have been in 2012 or 2013. And that scent blew my mind away. It was so strong, very powerful, beautiful scent bubble, and a very lasting scent bubble. And there have been occasions where, people, complete strangers, have moved closer to me just to, smell what's coming out of me. There is a rumor that it smells of cocaine. I had not smelled or even looked at real cocaine in my life, but maybe that's the addictive smell that draws people to the older batch of Tom Ford. I had that 10 ml, and those days I never knew anything about reformulation, so I didn't stock up. After my 10 ml was over, I couldn't find that smell anymore. And fast forward a few years, I had to buy a full bottle thinking that it's going to smell the same. But I was very, very disappointed in this scent, comparing it to the older version of Tom Ford. This might still be the best leather out there, but it's definitely living in its shadow of its former self. That I want to call out. And the other thing I want to say is, in the older scent, that raspberry note was very prominent. I still remember it very clearly. You could get that nice, sweet smell along with the leather, which was very addictive. But here, the smell is not too sweet, I would say. It's more green and, turned down to my particular nose. And should you get the older batch, I would suggest don't get the older batch. I went and got the older batch, the 2012 batch. But for me, they still smell the same. Why? Because one, it's been a decade since 2012, and the top notes in a perfume definitely vanish over time. The base notes hold strong, but you're going to lose those top notes. And in the base notes, the old batch and the current batch, they smell just the same. So there's no point going hunting for an older batch. I would suggest, if you want to smell this, go for the most recent batch. Now, when it comes to performance, I would say is slightly above average. Longevity is good. On skin, it lasts around 4 to 6 hours, and on clothes, it lasts for a day. And when it comes to projection, it's not too heavy. For the first 1 hour, maybe you will project for, or maybe 1 or 2 hours, you will project for maybe 1.5 feet. But after that, it stays close to yourself. You will still get, occasional whiffs from your clothes if you're spraying it on them, but it's not going to be very pronounced and pushing around others. Whereas the old Tom Ford, the older batch to 2012 and pre-batches, they were performance beasts. When it came to longevity or sillage, they used to project like no man's business. But this one, it's disappointing compared to the older batch, but it's still okay. It's definitely above average. When it comes to occasions to wear, I think it's a very powerful scent still. It adds that mystique, luxuriousness, a little bit of power also when you spray it, when the smell comes out to others. You can wear it formally in the office. You can definitely wear it. You can even wear it for casual occasions where you're dressed really well, or even if you're in a suit or boot, it will suit that look very well. When it comes to seasons, I feel it's a cooler weather scent. Cooler evenings, winter mornings, winter evenings, that will, work really, really well. Is this unisex? I would say it's slightly leaning masculine, but it can also be a unisex scent. You can actually layer this with some other fruity or floral scent, and I think they will gel really well together. But in the traditional sense, because of that leather, I think it's leaning a little bit masculine. Compliments. The older fragrance used to give me a lot of compliments. Whenever I wore it, I used to get at least 3 or 4 compliments. This one, not so, because it's not very pushy. It doesn't project too much. So I'm not sure if even people are picking it around me. But if people do get the smell, I'm sure it's got that compliment-getting DNA. Is this a blind buy? I would say no, because it is a very expensive scent, close to $500. If you can get partials or somewhere, if you can get it at a discount, then, and if you're a fan of leather fragrances and you haven't tried this, then you should definitely try this. But if you're not a fan of leather, sample it first, see how it plays on your skin, and then if you want to buy it, then you can do so. Do let me know about this particular fragrance. Have you tried it before? Have you tried the old batches? How does it compare? Drop in a comment. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.